Hey guys. Hey guys, welcome. Welcome to another episode of all bass creations, ambient bass effects. So today we kind of just floating around, doing a little bit. What's going on? Appreciate all y'all chiming in on the different platforms. What's going on, Big Son-O? Appreciate you. Shout out to all the Patreon and all the usual suspects, all the channel members, all you guys. I appreciate you guys' support a lot. So let's jump right into this. Don't forget, if you find this useful, don't forget to hit that Cash App, Super Chat, all that good stuff. All right, let's rock and roll. So I guess today we'll kind of go over some different types of modulations. I guess that work for bass. I'll use the Enzo X mostly for the examples just because it'll be a lot easier to see. But let's go ahead and jump into them. So typically when people are talking about bass modulations, they're talking about things like chorus, flanger, phaser, vibrato, things like that. And pretty much what modulations do, they typically take a copy of your pitch and shift it by, different amounts of milliseconds and things like that. And it creates these different effects. Now, modulations are made from delays. So you can, that's something else. That's a whole nother topic. But so what we got queued up here is a vibrato. And I have it set up for very subtle results, you know what I mean? That way doesn't change the pitch so much, it just creates a subtle singing versus without it. So you can literally just a small amount. And I have that time so it doesn't immediately go to vibrato. I think that's an important feature for vibrato effects in general, being able to delay that effect from coming in. So if you just get a few milliseconds before, and then the vibrato comes in. So and this works great for synths as well. Yeah, it's loud. Or if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to come here, even the bass synths benefit from it. Or octave down. Turns everything into just a little bit of singing. So jump into a little bit of the settings there. I got that set to a sine wave shape. And the reason that's important because the sine wave is the smoother waveform out of the bunch, right? So it's going to give you a nice smooth vibrato pattern. Now you can have different waveforms that'll make it choppier, but I wanted a nice smooth vibrato. And Also, you know, I like the speed not to be too fast. Brown, what I got this at? 4 hertz. You know what I'm saying? Around 4.5 hertz. Um, Depth about 25%. And I also have this vibrato linked to the envelope, to an envelope trigger, right, in the modifier section. So some other pedals that have this, like you could create this effect with another pedal rather, is the MS-70 CDR Plus. It has a swell vibrato in there. And this is what I pretty much, that's when I first ran across this effect. It's actually on the Zoom pedals. So, you know, I've recreated a much higher quality one with the Enzo X. And pretty much whenever, so I have the envelope set to a modifier, rather the envelope modifier on the Enzo X is set to the depth. And at first the depth to start out at 0, you know, that's why it doesn't come in right away. But then it sneaks in there, right? Because I have an envelope attack, the attack of the envelope filter. I mean, not envelope filter, but the envelope that's triggering the depth is set for a delayed time. So I hope that helps you out. And essentially, on the Zoom pedal, it'll be just, I forgot what the exact parameter is called, but it's on the it's not on the MS-60B plus, but it is on the MS-70 CDR plus. So yeah, that's a very, when you set it up like that, it ends up being very versatile for you. You can use it for subtle things if you need a little bit more to it, like a little bit more vibrato. I mean, you don't want to overdo the vibrato; it get annoying. So, but you know, maybe another 5-10% on the depth, but keeping it around there just gives you a very subtle singing quality to your playing. All right. Let's go over to the chorus. So, chorus settings. So I typically like slower chorus times, you know, like I like it actually. So this is the rule I go with for chorus. If I want to keep it pleasant to my ears, and I found works best in most situations for most people's ears, when the speed is slow, you can use a lot more depth, right? And when the speed is high, you want to bring that depth down. So I'll give you a quick example. So right now, I have the speed of like 0.3, what is it? 0.3 hertz. So super slow. And I have the depth at like 84. Oh, 88.3 actually. And then I have the mix set to 64%. So if I wanted a, you know, this chorus works for straight up bass lines as well. So you still got plenty of definition in there. If you want a little more definition, you can also bring that mix down a bit. But I find that generally works for my purposes. Now, if I wanted to, see, now I got a faster speed. It's all wonky sounding. But if I bring the depth down, still works, right? So that's a quick tip for chorus. I like to keep that. If I'm going to go for a faster time, I'm definitely going to bring the depth of the chorus down. If I'm going to go with a slower time, I can then bring the chorus up in the depth. Slow this down. And so that's a slower time. So you're getting two different types of ways of using a chorus for a bass sound, and that works for synths as well. You know, these are just general modulation bass settings that I found work for modulation. So again, vibrato, you want to find a way to delay the time, you know, delay the attack of the depth of the vibrato. And then even when it gets to the peak of that depth, you don't want the depth to be too much. You don't want the speed to be too slow or too fast. You got to find like a little medium. Now with chorus, like I said, slow speed, heavy depth, or faster speed, a lot shallower depth, you know, just maybe 20%, somewhere work around there. So, all right. Flanger. like I kind of think of Flanger as like getting that rubber band type sound. What's going on, folks? All the usual suspects coming in the house. Appreciate you. If you're just hanging out with us, and you just joining, make sure y'all hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Make sure you subscribe as well, if you haven't already. So, all right. So I think of it like that rubber band sound to me. Like it makes the bass rubbery. Flanger kind of gets overlooked a lot. Like, it gets overlooked a lot. Flanger is actually one of the first effects I heard. My uncle, would play guitar on the side a little bit, and he used to have all these little pedals that was different colors. The Flanger, I believe, was purple. And, yeah. That's when I first got introduced to Flanger, the sound of a Flanger, rather. So, what's going on, folks? Yeah, actually if you got an HX Stomp, the analog Flanger, I believe it is, the analog Flanger on there is really good. That was actually the only modulation on there that I like. I had an HX1, so definitely try the analog Flanger, and try it with similar settings to these. It'll have the ability to do these, but different. It'll look, slightly different. I got the speed around like 0.5 hertz. So a nice slow speed. The depth around 55, so like halfway. Feedback around 60%. And I have the mix around like 40. And you can create things like dynamic filters. The MS-70 CDR Plus has some great flangers on there. They have some great modulations on there for bass in general. What else? Yeah, and again, if you got a line 6 pedal like a HX Stomp, that analog flanger does sound amazing. I really do like the way that sounds. And with very similar settings to what I just gave you for that. Definitely check that out. Trying to think what other in terms of flangers. In terms of choruses and chorus pedals, of course the Tisha Electronic chorus pedal in here is amazing. I love that. But in terms of the vibrato, I actually like that MS70 CDR Plus. It actually has great versions of all these modulations, and it's only like $120, $150. So really can't go wrong. You could find one. If you could find one used, you probably get it even cheaper than that. Yeah, you don't actually, I mean, ain't nothing to really learn about the software. Like, you know what I'm saying? You just open it up and you just put it together. Like, if you need to, I mean, ain't really much to learn with the Tone X software. If you're having any problems, you know, I did a bunch of videos on the Tone X one and the software too. So check those out. Yeah, I probably will still check out a mood pedal, at some point. Maybe I'll get around to an H90 at some point. I just can't see it. But hey, if they want to rock with me, want me to review it or do some demos of it, I definitely do it for them. You know, it's all in a day's work. But yeah, Flanger, another amazing modulation. You got things like a phaser as well. So I love a good phaser too. Phaser actually likes you. It gives you a little bit of more bottom to the sound than without it. And that you can make the difference between that. I mean, I guess, you know, say you had a bass synth you was rolling or something. which instantly makes it a more interesting sound. And see, with it, it is oscillating on its own, but with it has enough. It's like they're working together. You can really, it really enhances the sound in a way where it can be very subtle with a sound like that, but with your plain sound, for some reason, same exact settings. I didn't change anything. It's like super potent and still like adds a lot of width to your sound. So I definitely, now settings wise, let's see what we got here. Oh, sorry. So we got the speed around 1 hertz, depth on 100, and the mix around 68%, and that's on the wet side. Zero feedback, and it's a 4-stage phaser. So, I absolutely, again, if you've been following me for a while, you know how much I love the Marist pedals. They definitely have a ton of things that will help you just enhance any sound, not just the synth sounds that are in there, but all the modulations, as you've heard, are spectacular. And they even got things like this beautiful ring mod in there as well, which I love. And it really makes you want to play longer notes, right? Because a lot of times when you first hear ring modulators, they are very abrasive, like they're very in your face. I've been able to get this ring mod to do this kind of almost like it fades in a bit, unless that first note comes through clean, right? Right, but then you give give it just a second, and that ring modulator comes in, and then it goes away. And this is where the Enzo X is crazy, because you can do that with all those modulations. Like, you just have to set it with the modifiers. So you go over to the modifier section, and if you go to the envelope, right, you can actually assign the frequency of the ring mod to the envelope of the sound. So every time I play a note, it's going to re-trigger this same sequence there. And I also have a bit of a, what is that? It's like a 2.9 second delay on that, on the attack of that frequency. So, and it's also a 5.6 second decay on it. Goes up, comes back down, right? This works great for pretty much any sound. Like, you can, of course, you can run your regular bass sound. And it's so musical, it doesn't even get in the way. You run that into some beautiful reverb stuff, you know. And it's like it's tuned perfectly, you know. Somehow it tuned itself perfectly, and it allowed me to, you know, get that effect out of it. I mean, you can essentially throw that into any of these settings. And it just never gets in the way. You know how hard it is to get a ring modulator not to get in your way while you're playing and doing different stuff? That's why I can't recommend the Enzo X enough for bass players. It's going to give you like a whole plethora of great effects. It's not even a plethora. It's going to give you the right amount of effects at a pretty much the highest quality of it you're going, you know, and to my ears that I've ever heard. And, you know, so like I've never heard modulations be so clear and precise and musical. Like even when I'm using them heavy, like the phaser, that phaser was on 100% depth you know. And it definitely makes you want to pump. Appreciate that. Well, for it depends on what kind of desert vibe, like what would that mean consist of, like, or what does that mean, like, is it like a music video, is it a song, like, but yeah, so those are pretty much the modulations that you know will run across on most pedals, and pretty much you can set it up like that with any pedals. No, those general settings are going to get you around the ballpark of a musical setting. Because sometimes, you know, you get into stuff, you don't really even know where to start. It's just a bunch of knobs. Like, I don't know what the depth is. I don't know what the speed and all this extra stuff is, you know, or what it's doing or how it's affecting the sound. So, you know, think of the depth as how much the sound is, you know, how strong the effect is affecting your sound. While, you know, the wet version of your sound at least. And then speed, of course, is just how fast that LFO is moving. How fast do you want it to swirl or whatever. And then you also have the other super important one is the mix. You know, you probably going to play around with that mix quite a bit, and make sure you keep some of your dry signal in there with most effects. Like, it definitely will help you out. Let me see. Yeah, the Tone X stuff. Yeah, the Tone X stuff right there. So, like, if you got the modulation section in the Tone X stuff, it's not gonna have all of these parameters, but it's gonna have some of these parameters. You know, same thing. So the ones that it has will allow you to get to that sound, because I you know, I had two Tone X ones, so I know. So that'll help you with the modulation section. Um, then you just got the compression, the noise gate, you know, sections. You can turn those off if you don't want to use them. I actually turn off the noise gate and the compressor on there because I have other pedals for that. And what else? The EQ section. You know, the EQ knobs are pretty much self-explanatory. What I do for bass, though, on the bass frequency, I turn that all the way down. I think it goes down to 75, so my bass knob will only affect the 75 and below. Then I usually set the mids to about 1.2 kilohertz, and I usually turn the treble all the way up to 4,000 kilohertz on the frequencies. The depth on there is pretty much the depth on that on the Tone X1 EQ is pretty much your sub frequencies. You don't really need too much of that. And the what is the other one? I think it's presence. I want to say that's more of like your ultra highs. You don't need too much of that either. So, and I usually use 100% wet mix on the Tone X stuff because I'm not using. I do have IRs on here, but I primarily use this as my preamps. You know what I'm saying, and bass amp sound. So like usually when I'm running into an amp, I'm running into the effects loop of the amp. So I'm bypassing whatever bass amp head preamp is in there, just using the power amp section of a bass amp. And then I run these two. So, and then I got 20 something different bass amp heads. So that's a lot cooler than having one on top, right? All right, so let me see. Here's I got a few other modulations I'm using on the Mercury X as well. But the reason I can get sounds like this out of the Mercury is also due to, in part and partial, with modulations along with filters. Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. And you get if you do, there's a different set of modulations in the Mercury X than in the Enzo X. That's why I recommend bassists. You know, if you were going to start with one of these two, I recommend both of them highly. That's why I got them. Because they are two separate completely things. You're not getting the same thing twice with that at all. You are getting some things that overlap, you know, but yeah, it's not a bad thing. Trust me, the things that overlap, you want more than one of those things available to you. So it really is actually very effective the way they laid out the Enzo X, LVX, and the Mercury X to work together. It's kind of crazy, but yeah. So something like that. You got. See the modulations in here. I don't want to misquote. My favorite modulation in there is the hazy modulation, which is doing a lot of that work that you're listening to. Especially when I freeze it. So I just froze it. The hazy modulation is going crazy. That's that hazy modulation. And it's actually like a combination of like a bit crusher, tape warble, you know, type sound. So that's with it on 100%. It's doing all of that. That's sickening. See the modulation there on the wet sound. Along with the pitch shifting going on. And that's why don't hesitate to get either one of these. You're not going to be mad. I promise you. I will say that hazy modulation in the Mercury X definitely is a super. Um, it turns it into. It makes the pedal basically be able to get into that really lo-fi territory, like the mood pedal. Um, you can get to all that type of sounds. Then when you freeze it, you can really hear the modulation just going crazy in there. And it's a different type of crazy than this was. You can hear the swirling in this sound as well. Another using modulations in different ways. So it's not always throwing it directly on your bass signal. You can have, if you have something like the Mercury X, it has a built-in 4-channel mixer, left and right dry, and then left and right wet. So you can throw it on just your wet signal, and then not only that, you can place it anywhere on just the delays, just the reverb. You can have that running in conjunction with the drives and the filters and the pitch shifting and all that stuff in combination together, all in that one box. So that's why I always recommend these two pedals for a lot of people. They definitely will save you some money in terms of trying to get to certain modulations and things and like that. Like, you'll spend a whole bunch of money buying a bunch of pedals like this. And this is cool. Don't get me wrong. I love the Tisa Electronic Corona Chorus. What else I like in here? Oh, I really like the shimmer reverb in here as well. But I know what I need to do too as soon as I get off. But yeah, I really like that as well. But I can create all that within here, and I don't have to have a separate pedal just for that. I can have all my choruses. I don't have to have this HX1 MS70 CDR Plus and a whole bunch of other pedals I had before. I also was able to create a Leslie sound in here because this one has tremolo. So the Mercury X has tremolo. So let me see, where is it? Where's the tremolo? Oh, it's under the organ. Let's put it under the organ sound. And that's actually the Mercury X. So you can even get like a pretty accurate Leslie sound with it as well. Yeah, definitely. That's the point. I'm glad it inspires you, man. It's all love, man. One of my biggest things, I'm also an educator, so I teach as well with a program called Fame. And one of the biggest things I always tell people is one of my main missions in life is to create as many amazing musicians as possible in any way, shape, or form as I can. I don't want to, every time a man dies, a library is burnt down. That's an old saying. And I mean, that thing thousands of years old. But in other words, you spend your whole life learning all this stuff, being able to play like this and doing this and that. You need to pass it on keep it going. You know what I'm saying? You don't want that library to be burnt down, or all that knowledge and experience you gain to just go down the drain because you passed away. Not that I plan on going anywhere no time soon. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta get ready so you ain't, you gotta stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready. You feel me? All right. So it's a cool little Leslie song. You can use it on your bass as well. And I also have some chorus on the Enzo X running to, get that help get in that real Oregon territory with the Pog 3, That's still a little brighter than I would like it to be. So and I actually like it better than using the D-tune on here. That's the D-tune on the Pog 3. This is actually closer to a Leslie, even with the transition. So the way I created that transition on there, got it on the tremolo. So let's talk about some of the settings I got for the tremolo. Right, I'm giving y'all types of game. Y'all better subscribe and like and hit these like buttons. I'm giving y'all mad game. I just went through all these modulations and gave you great starting places, so you don't have to, and gave you an explanation. Man, y'all better hit that like button, man, at least. I appreciate y'all though. Thanks for hanging with me. So we got that on a sine wave, and the maximum speed of that is 6.8 hertz, right? Got a little spread on there as well. And on here, I got it on a harmonic voice, right? So So just options there. Oh, and so let me see what I got this. Oh, I got a link to the whole modifier, right? So the speed, I got the speed linked to the whole modifier, right? I got the attack on that. Basically, how long it takes to do the action. So go from 0 to well, in this case, I got it on 7.8% on minimum, 100% maximum on the hold. And this is the hold modifier button here, and I'm triggering it with the MIDI controllers down bottom, like the foot switches. So I got that the attack and the decay time around 1.1 seconds, decay around 1.3. So just the delay, because that's how, when you think about a Leslie doesn't kick on right away. I play organ as well, so Leslie doesn't kick on right away. It's a physical motor, so it takes time for the motor to spin up. So pretty much this is like simulating that. And that's for me, that's one of the biggest things for, between making it sound more realistic or not. The Leslie sound. So it takes a second. Never quite stops spinning though. It just spins real slow. So yeah, things like that will enhance effects. That's why I can't tell you guys why I can't say it no more. If you don't understand why you need an Enzo X or a Mercury X by now, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Because the fact that you can pretty much take any of the modulations in there or any of the parameters and attach them to an LFO, like if I wanted that to be attached, that speed to be attached to a separate LFO that speeds it up and slows it down automatically, I could do that. I can have it triggered by an envelope, meaning when I input a sound into it, it'll start triggering there. I can hook it to a random filter, and it'll do it randomly, random speeds at different times. You can put it to a sequence and have it sequenced, and you also have the ability to sync these MIDI pedals together as well, time wise. So that's it gets pretty crazy just when you think about what you can do with each individual effect alone. Like, let's see how that sound on like some synth. It's yeah, you can get some. Let's go. So even there, you can use it. That Leslie sound, it's like it adds a Leslie-esque sound without adding like too much of that the grittier part of the organ Leslie sound, which I actually it's like a super duper clean Leslie. Yeah, the Stomp, the Line 6 has some good delays and reverbs. Like I wouldn't even lie to you. They do have some good ones, but the Mercury X definitely is miles above the HX Stomp, you know what I'm saying? Like in terms of sound quality, the amount of things you can do with the delays and reverbs is just insane. And the fact that you can just create custom joints out of nowhere. Not like they gave you a distorted delay, right? You can create your own custom one with flanger and phaser and all that other stuff on there, and then it's just impeccable quality. So, yeah, I recommend that. Enzo X, you know, if you want to get into them pads and stuff, you know, ain't nothing really going to beat your Enzo X. That joint tracks, yo. That joint tracks. So just some amazing ways to put those modulations to work is with those synths and the Enzo X as well. So that's another thing. Plus, you do, you know, I haven't mentioned it in this session, but you also get a full stereo delay in the Enzo X, and you do get my favorite algorithm from the Mercury X. You get the Prism in here. So, you know, you got the 3 different Prism algorithms in here: the small, medium, and large. Large is my favorite. And then you got the full stereo delay. You can't use them at the same time. You got to use delay or the reverbs. But you do get the modulations, drives, pitch shifting, mono and polyphonic pitch shifting in there, along with these ARP mode. You know, you got a arpeggiator mode in there as well. Stuff like this. So you got all that stuff in there as well, on top of monophonic and polyphonic synth. So if you spent the money for the HX Stomp, you would definitely love the Enzo X. You would definitely not be disappointed. Like, if you got a value out the HX Stomp, you'll definitely get a super value out the Enzo X. It's definitely, yeah, it ain't a game. Plus, it preserves your bass tone really well. Great lead sounds as well. See what's going on. All my trouble now. So, I mean, come on now. Like, mind you, I'm not getting a commission from Maris or nothing like that. When I'm recommending pedals the way I do, I'll tell you guys if somebody is paying me to do a demo, or if they sent me something, you know. Yes, Merce did send me the Mercury X, but I in no way in shape and am obligated to tell you guys anything. I could tell you guys no, don't get it. But trust me, you will not be disappointed rolling with the Merce pedals. The X series is insane, all of them. I still may get an LVX as well, because that has a few effects I want in there. Even though I don't need that level of delay personally, you know, it is some modulations in there that are different than the ones that are in here that I would love to use. So yeah, if you're into pads and ambient stuff, you're not gonna beat the Enzo. What? That's insane. She's insane. You also get your bass synths in there too, so yeah, it definitely it'll inspire you to do a lot. Yeah, I ain't fixing a lot. Hey, listen, you guys won't trust me when I tell you stuff. You know, like, yo, this is a really great pedal. This is that. If I say every single thing in the world is always awesome, everything can't be awesome. Something got suck, and it might not even necessarily suck. You know what I'm saying? It might just not be as good as everything else. You know what I'm saying? It just depends. But any of these pedals up here, I can pretty much vouch for. You know, yeah, the Source Audio pedals are getting a little bit older now. Like, you know, it's about. I am ready for them to update these Source Audio pedals. You know, especially like the C4 synth. If they could do something like Maris did with the Enzo and make like the Enzo X, but make like a big C4 with you know, more capabilities, you know, upgrade some of the stuff. The tracking's not bad like people try to make it seem on the what's that thing? C4 synth. Depends on what you're doing and how clean you're playing. This is one of my favorite sounds on here. I love how it's super musical with the notes that aren't in the scale. So that's a G major harmonizer I'm using on there. But the notes that aren't in the scale, the chords it's using are the chords I wanted to use. That makes sense harmony wise, you know, songwriting wise. like that. You know, that's a common, instead of doing 2, 5, 1, 2, flat 2, major 7, 2. Woo. Man, you can run that through so many different reverbs, and that joint will be just crazy. It gets wild. Just gets nasty. You know, it's the same sound. Just running through different reverbs there. All right, but let's see what else we got on here. So you can get some nice stuff out the C4 synth as well. You know, I got a C4 synth preset pack as well. You can get some nice sounds out of it. You just gotta play around with it, you know. So, I find that each one of these synth pedals definitely has its own thing to it. I'm not going to get that same sound with any of these other synth pedals and vice versa. you know so synth pedals I like to definitely sit down and explore and make sure that I really know how to use them, not just glancing over a bunch of possibilities because I'm trying to. This is another tip. Stop always trying to play a song by somebody else and trying to recreate the sound. Like, who? Listen, you're going to spend a lot of money and a lot of time chasing somebody else's sound that ain't never going to pay you. You know what I'm saying? Like, most of the time you spend all that time doing that and it's just, it don't end up being worth it. You could have, spent some time really figuring out what you want to sound like, how you want things to sound, especially for your own compositions. I know a lot of times you're like, oh, I like that bass from such and such. I mean, yes, okay, but I find it so important that you do your own thing over time. Now, when you new, you start out emulating people. You start out doing what you see because that's all you know, right? But over time, definitely, definitely spend some time finding your sound, not chasing somebody else's, trying to get their exact bass. That's why I don't use stock basses. I don't use other artists' basses or none of that. To be honest with you, and that's because I don't need to, why do I need to sound like you? Why do I need the exact bass that you have? I want a bass that allows me to have my sound come through the way I want it to. You know what I'm saying? So that would be. I understand. People are amazing. I love other musicians, but I don't love you enough to not find myself. You feel me? So, but yeah, C4 Stamp still got some gusto in there. Nah, the Enzo X and the Mercury X are $600 a piece. So, that they not crazy expensive, and for the amount, the sound quality and functionality, like I said, I can still take this Enzo X and play the same sounds with the keyboard. Oh, that's the motif across the room. Sorry about that. Let me take that out. So, sorry, guys. Strings. This is stuff I created on the Enzo X. This is just the Enzo X. If you know how to use a synth, you can create a ton of different sounds. Same unit, brass sound. And all that's set up through the foot switches I have on the floor, so I can completely, because of the flexibility of the Enzo X and the whole modifiers and all this other stuff, I can easily assign things to wherever I need them to be. You know what I'm saying? Like on just the expression pedal alone, I can assign 6 different parameters just for the expression pedal. So I'm changing the filter, I'm changing the envelope of the sound, right? This is one texture. This is the other texture. The release, the envelope, the filter's different. And the times. ADSR of the filter's different. Versus. Right. And I still got that additional option attached in there. Yeah, the keyboard tone, if you want keyboard stuff, you definitely want an Enzo X for sure. If you want vintage bass sounds, vintage keyboard mono, like Moog and like, what's the other thing? A CS80. You can get all those vintage sounds, Stevie Wonder, all that stuff out of here, out of the Future Impact for sure. That's what I would recommend if you want that. But if you want like, not vintage, but if you want like synth sounds, like be able to play chords and stuff, you're gonna need an Enzo X for sure. Yeah, it'll be worth it. Thank you, I appreciate that, folks. Yeah, I'm using this my looper right here. It's a Jam Man Solo HD. Amazing sounding looper. Sound quality is insane. Let's see what I got on here. And it even captures the sound, the image, the stereo imaging of it and stuff too. Very well, really clean recordings. Listen to the details in each sound. Super clean recordings. So yeah, you know, it's definitely a great sounding looper. Like it definitely gives you very nice, clean loops on the fly. 200 slots built in internally, and you also get a SD card is super important to me, and that's one of the reasons I decided to stay with the Jam Man Solo. I like that SD card slot and the amount of slots I have in there. Plus, I also have the a couple of the previous generations Jam Man pedals. The what is it? The Jam Man Solo XT, and then I got the little Solo, the little smaller pedal they used to make as well. So, and I use those for my band. So I'll probably be, start doing more looping live with my actual band as well. Because I mean, I do create loops live, of course, but when you're in a band situation, a lot of times you're trying to mitigate problems. You don't, you're playing for clients, so you playing for clients, you can't be up there just doing dilly dallying, let me give me an hour to lay down this loop. No, you ain't got that kind of time. You gotta be able to pretty much go from thing to thing to thing. If I'm here, I ain't got time to lay this down while they trying to dance. In fact, I love this looper, man, and it gives me separate control over stuff, even the tambourine sound. I can blend it with the other drum tracks going on. I love this tambourine sound. It just works for my loops. I don't know. So, and then you got options for things like that. Single loops, you can loop it. I can reverse that. I can slow that down if I wanted to. Whatever you want to do, you can reverse it, and you just got them readily available. Not only that, the thing I love, you can go from loop to loop. I don't have to stop and go. That's why I couldn't use the Zoom looper. I actually like that Zoom looper's sound quality, but the main thing that was holding it back, and it did have MIDI, but you couldn't switch. You couldn't switch loops while it was running, which is weird to me. Appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, don't forget about the preset pass. That's Jeremiah, ain't it? Believe that's Jay. Appreciate you. So, and I'm sorry if I ever say y'all names wrong. I am terrible with names. I cannot say nobody's name. I be messing up on my own name sometimes. Don't take it personal. If I can't get my own name right. But I appreciate y'all, supporting me and just hanging out with me in general. Hit that like button if you haven't already, and definitely check out those preset packs. Check out those preset packs on the Patreon. Thank you to all the Patreon supporters and all the YouTube channel members. It means the world to me that you guys believe in me enough to support me. And be on the lookout for my new improvisation course that's going to be coming out, where I'll be showing you guys how to properly manipulate scales and chord scale relationships, dynamics, phrasing, motifs. We're going to go over all this different stuff and how you can apply it to your playing. And no matter whether you're playing classical, jazz, rock, this is going to apply to all, because every song starts as improvisation. That's something that nobody ever really talks about. Everything starts as improvisation. It's the first time you did it. It's the first time you wrote it. It's not, unless you're rewriting a song, you're just writing the same song over and over again. Everything starts as improvisation. So make sure that and all improvisation is, let's clear this up. It's not just you playing any old thing over the stuff. It's you taking your experience and your knowledge and applying it in the moment in different ways creatively. So, but you got to have the tools in order to improv. Like, how you going, if you got a bag of tools, right? You got a screwdriver, a hammer, some nails, you got some wood, and you got some scrap metal over there. You can do something. Now, you got to learn what to do. You got to learn how to build something, but you can build something because you have the tools. But you got to have the tools in your bag already in order to build the daggone thing. I hope that's making sense. I know that's a little country, but you know what I'm saying? You got to have the tools in your bag. Like, for instance, let's just do this real quick because I got a few minutes here. So you got the C major scale, right? But you want to be able to do so whatever you want to do with it, right? You got to have the individual tools. You can't just be able to play the scale like this, right? You got to be able to say, I can play the scale like this. I can play the scale like this. I can play the scale like this. In order for me to go, I have to know you see what I'm saying? I can't do so, you have to have the individual tools. Before you can do that, you need to be able to, before you go on. Or, and you got to know everything going forward and retrograde, which just means in reverse. So, I'm going to talk about all that in the course. That's just a few little tidbits for those that was wondering what an improvisation course. And this is not a bass course. This is an improvisation course. I'm going to do a specific bass technique course where I'll go over the techniques that I use and how you can implement them. But this improvisation course is coming first because before you even get any more techniques, you need more knowledge. It ain't a physical thing, it's a mental thing, and that'll help you out. What's going on, Tiny? Appreciate you showing up. Another bass players in the area. Good to see you, brother. Appreciate you showing support for the local DMV folks, I definitely and then you got to do that back with different scales. You got to do that. You know, you got to know the formula for the scales. You got to know the formulas for all this different stuff. Then you got to know how chords relate to the scales, you know, because chords come from scales. So, you know, these things are super important. Like, you really, you know, you got to learn arpeggios, you know what I'm saying? All that good stuff. You know, it's just basic. It's not basic stuff. Let me not say that, because I was just talking with someone yesterday about teaching, right? And, you know, stuff we view as basic is not really that basic. Like, you know, we skip right over the major scale, you know, a lot of times. You know, or we skip right over the harmonic minor scale or the melodic minor. You know, and it's like it just gets worse and worse the more scales you go. The diminished scale. Whole tone. Augmented. You know, then you got your exotic scales and things like that as well. You know, you got all that type of stuff. So there is a ton of different scales. You know, you just got to know how to manipulate them and use them in different ways. So it really is simply about freeing yourself from having to think too much about the individual pieces and more about portraying the emotion at the time. So, you know, like I said, you don't want to have to be worrying about technique, worrying about music theory, jazz theory, worrying about even the chord changes like that. You want to see a chord change and just know what it is, you know. So you don't want to have to hesitate when you're doing stuff at all. You know, and I've been playing piano a long time, and I don't consider myself a pianist at all, even though I've been playing piano. Actually, long I've been playing bass. But bass is the instrument I've put tons and tons of energy into. But the rest of that is just me knowing voicings, me knowing chord changes. That was just all the things you are. So I know if I got an F minor, I know what that looks like. I can voice it like that. I can voice it like that. Minor 9. See, just knowing stuff like that, knowing I got a 2/5 right here, right? I'm just doing a 2/5 in G, right? So that's the A minor, D7 to G major 7. I know I can use a tritone substitution on any dominant 7 chord. So instead of doing a D7, I do an A flat 7. It works anywhere, but so knowing that, I took advantage of that, and when I got to that altered chord type sound, I used the whole tone scale, or I could use the and go diminish there. You know, I can go augmented. I can pull this from pull it from another scale. You know, I can do a lot of different stuff with that one chord, but you can use these different once you know these things, and I do suggest spending some time on piano, folks. Like if you want to really step up your actual bass playing, spend some time on piano, learning chord changes, you know. All it's going to do is open your ears up. Really get to see what works for you, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we get stuck in the basic. We might use just Lydian here, right? But you can also do things like use the minor pentatonic off of the major 7. You can use it off of the 3. You can use it off of the 6. 6 or the 13. You know, you can use the major off of the 5. Yeah, whatever you want to do there. So you got tons of options there. You know, like I said, all this stuff is going to be in the improvisation course. So don't you worry. I appreciate you, Charles, for subscribing. Yeah, so, you know, you didn't got to worry. All this stuff is going to be where? On the Patreon. And it will be a whole improvisation course, and I will be showing you on piano, and I'm going old school. I got a whiteboard, went and bought a whiteboard for y'all, because I like to just draw it, and, you know, it ain't going to be the overly processed stuff. I don't even, look, if y'all going to rock with me, y'all going to learn something real quick about me. I don't do overly processed stuff because I try to give you as much amazing content as possible. The more you do all this extra editing and stuff, it's like, for me, it slows and deters me. So I try not to over edit things. So, you know, I try to just do it right the first time, you know what I'm saying? And just leave it there. But yeah, we'll be going over all the different scales, how to manipulate them, chord scale relationship. I'm gonna give you all the scale formulas and all types of stuff, things that you'll be able to digest. And only prerequisite you need to being able to do this course, right, is being able to play your C major scale fluently. Mind you, this course is easy enough for a beginner, right? Somebody that just knows the major scale, I don't really know too much. I would suggest, around the intermediate level at least, but I will say start around, if you got your C major scale, you learned a few songs already, you can start learning this improvisation course, because I'm going to start you off with how to properly practice your scales, how to properly practice in the first place, and nobody ever talk about that. People just tell you go practice. They don't tell you how to practice, what to practice, and there is ways to do things that are efficient. It don't take, for me, I always played 6 to 8 hours a day growing up, but everybody ain't got that kind of time. All right. So, I've made it so if you got an hour that you can, drop out of your day, this is who that course is for. If you want a concentrated hour, if you want those guys that practices 2 hours a day, one of those hours, you give it that concentrated, effective practice, and then the other hour, you're going to have fun, play different songs, go through your set list for the weekend, whatever it may be. But, structure things to where it will be feasible for you. And that's what this course is designed to do ultimately, make sure that you guys can digest it. And not only that you guys can digest it, that this course will be with you for the rest of your musical life. In terms of the things you will learn, the things you'll be able to apply. It's the same exact use system. Let me tell you how I came up with the system. I came up with the system because I needed it for me. When I would ask people about improvisation, all they kept telling me was, you got to listen, man. You just got to listen to more music, man. They don't never give you no direct, things to work on that actually give you the tools. And I hate that. I hate that mystical BS. I'm just going to say it. I hate that mystical stuff. Man, it just, one day it's just going to click. And, they got everything but an answer. They got every saying in the world but an answer. Dog, just tell me what is, what to work on. Or, for me, in my situation, I had to realize that I was hearing the same patterns. I was hearing not just the same patterns. I'm hearing certain tools being used. Because I listen to a lot of music. Boy, I've listened to 1,000,001 songs. And I mean, I am not exaggerating at all. And I kept in improv, one of my favorite improvisers is Pat Metheny. Pat Metheny's improvisation is so organized. When you listen to it, you can identify the motifs and the phrases very distinctively because he extends them. He doesn't just use a motif or a phrase and throw it away. He might stay with a motif or a phrase for an entire chorus of solo, which is not easy to do at all. I mean, yes, now at this stage, I can do it very easily, but remember what I said before, just because you can do something easy now don't mean it was always easy. And you can't never forget that, because there's people that will be coming up behind you that for them it's not easy. For them it's something that's going to take some work. And for you, it took work. You know what I'm saying? So never forget that, when you helping out other musicians, because like I said, you get these guys, they won't give you no answers. They won't even give you guys, the right guys. They give you the cliche guys to listen to. They don't even give you the right stuff to listen to. And a lot of times when you talk about improvisation, they don't give you no rock guys. What about the progressive rock guys that be going crazy over there? And, what about some of the Indian folks that are going crazy with the improvisation? The Brazilians, they going crazy everywhere. It's a lot of Africans. Richard Bona is one of my favorite musicians. I don't listen to a whole lot of bassists. I listen to musicians in general. So, I consider him a musician. I wouldn't consider Yeah, don't get me in trouble in here, Tiny. Don't get me to talking on folks. But she cool. It's cool and all, but yeah. Um, she not at the level for me to talk about. Um, so I would say because I'm talking about guys that are like Arc Tatum. You know what I'm saying? Like just because you can play a few lines, you ain't really talking for real. Like you got to talk when you play, and it's a reason why things should be more melodic. But we'll talk about that in another situation. you know, but yeah, guys like Art Tatum, Oscar Peterson, of course Herbie and Chick. I love great pianists and guitarists. Saxophone players, Joshua Redman. Um, Joshua Redman's absolutely one of my favorite sax players. I'm trying to think who's some other folks right off the top of my head. Al DeMola. Awesome. Oh, what's my man from Michael Jackson? But he got a whole bunch of his albums himself. I love Greg Howe. Greg Howe, amazing guitarist, amazing solos. Of course, Charlie Parker. You got all the cliche names we already know. Of course, John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, all those guys. Sonny Stitt, and I do mean Sonny Stitt specifically. That guy is amazing. I'm not into all the other Sonnies. What's my man that created the 6-string bass? I'm leaving him out. He just passed away. What's my man name? Anthony Jackson. Is that it? I told you I'm terrible with names. I am absolute worst with names. I'm giving you guys some great players right now to look into. Great player. No, I'm talking about, don't just look in the basement. Anthony Jackson. Yeah, it was Anthony Jackson. So yeah, great player. Of course, Victor Wooten. I don't listen to Victor Wooten for improvisation, but how can you not listen to Victor Wooten? Just in general, But I don't. When we talk about improvisation, I have certain people I look at for certain things, and then I have certain people that I look at for other things. You know what I'm saying? Victor Wooten, I learned this technique from Victor Wooten. And no, he didn't invent it, but that's where I got it from. So, which is really, and I think they got that from flamenco guitar. That seems like a flamenco guitar technique. All that type of stuff. So I got all that techniques from different bass players like that. What's my other guy name? Him and Victor did that duet together. He plays 6-string fretless. He has amazing technique too, in terms of like the false harmonics and stuff. But yeah, guys. So I know this is a little bit more nerdy music type stuff, but this is the stuff that's going to help you learning. These different players like that are going to expand your mind. Now, some progressive rock groups I like. What's my Transatlantic is one of my favorite, and what's the other one? Symphony X. I love those are older rock groups, but I love their stuff. All their stuff is so clean, and it was just nasty. It was nasty work, the stuff that they was doing in those albums. Let's see, what's some other genres I can give you guys? Well, I'll give you guys. I'll make a list and make a, I'll do a separate live about that. Victor Bailey's a bad dude on bass too. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I don't really listen to other bass players that much, like for solos. And I'll explain that another time. But I really don't listen to other bass players for solos at all. I really don't listen for no other players solos like that, to be honest. Not anymore. I have enough tools in my tool bag where I just create everything out of my mind. I never use other people's lines. I've only done 2 transcriptions my whole life. Only read 2 transcriptions. It's just not necessary. When you got a bag full of tools, you ain't got to sit down and try to. I don't have to do that because I can go in my bag of tools and I can see that that's a Phillip head screw. I can see that it's a Phillip head screw. It's right there. All I got to do is get my screwdriver out of my bag and unscrew the damn thing or tighten it up. See what I said about having the tools in your bag? When the chord change come up, I can see what chord change it is. I know every part of that chord change. I know all the scales that go to it. And all of that's in one box in my mind. When you say C major 7, in my mind, there's a box. There's C major 7 and everything that C major 7 can possibly be part of. And all my possibilities that I can play that I have available to me in my tool bag. All in that one box. And so like my brain immediately goes to that box and just picks out whatever it needs, throws it out there in the way it wants to create it. I don't even think about what I'm playing for real. Like when I'm soloing. I literally just know the chord changes and I know what sound I'm going for. And I've played so much and I have so many tools. It's just available. It's just available to me. So that would be, I think, for most musicians, the goal is to be able to, when you perform, not to be really thinking too much, but to actually be in the moment, involved with the crowd, and enjoying yourself. Like, it's hard to explain, but, you know, you don't want to have to be thinking. When you're seeing musicians play at the highest level, they are not thinking about all those individual notes. It's impossible. It's too many. They thinking about this overarching idea thing, and then that is what determines everything else. So, you know, take that as you will, but you got to practice. You got to learn as much as you can. The old saying is you got to learn as much as you can and then forget it. Now, I don't mean forget it. I mean, don't get on stage trying to overthink it. You know what I'm saying? Your practice and the work you put in before should be enough for you to just do what you need to do. Like when somebody's going up to dunk, they ain't really got to think about it. They ain't did enough dunks. They just go up and dunk. You know, Allen Iverson didn't have to think about his crossover. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is it takes some. Nah, you ain't got. Don't even worry about working on your confidence. How about this? Work enough to where it demands that you have confidence. That's the idea. Like that you've worked enough on it to where can't nobody tell you not doing this correctly because you've worked on it. You've really dissected it. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I've heard you play, brother. You're not a bad player at all. You ain't got no reason to not be confident. You ain't got no reason not to be confident, brother. You good. You know, just the stuff you want to work on, just work on it. You know what I'm saying? But trust and believe, like I've heard you play, you got a good sound. You got a good sound, bro. And just keep going. You know, that's all of us. You think I play every day. The reason I can get on here live every day is because I play every day. So this is just all I kind of did with some of my practice time. I took away from myself so I could build this with you guys. And, you know, so it is what it is. Like you gotta, it makes me have to play the instrument anyway, so I can't complain. Yeah, so, but I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'm ready to get out of here, man. I appreciate all y'all. And like I said, be on the lookout for that course. That course is going to be on Patreon. And it's definitely, I'm going to make sure that it's something that will benefit you, not just now, not just tomorrow, but for the rest of your life as a musician. I can guarantee you. All right, folks. I'll catch you later. Peace.